Okay, number 41. Okay, so closed interval, we need a t-chart, x, h of x. Put your endpoints in here, and now find your critical points. The derivative will be 5e to the x minus e to the 2x times the derivative of 2x. Okay, set that equal to 0. You might not recognize it, but you can factor that. E to the 2x is really e to the x times another e to the x, because when the bases are the same, you add, and x plus x is 2x. So this is really an e to the x times another e to the x. So when I factor, I can take an e to the x out of both of them. And what's left over is 5 minus 2e to the x. Okay, set them both equal to 0. And when will e to the x equal 0? Never. It's always positive. For this one, you're going to have to get the e to the x by itself first and then natural log both sides. So I'm going to subtract 5, divide by -2, and now to undo the e, you take the natural log of both sides. And we get that x equals the natural log of 5/2, which is a positive number. I don't know if it's necessarily in between -1 and 2, but I'm going to have to assume so. So there's my critical point, natural log of 5/2. Okay? Now, when you're plugging in, we're plugging into the original, so you don't need any of this stuff anymore. Okay? So, plugging in, let me plug in the natural log first. 5e to the natural log of 5/2, the e and the ln are going to undo each other. Minus e to the 2 times the natural log of 5/2. And I can see why you guys would struggle with this one. So here's some things you may have forgotten. So the e and the ln undo each other. And 5 times 5/2, that's not too bad. That's 25/2. Here, what do you do with that 2? Well, you've probably forgotten that when you have a log or a natural log, that 2 is really the same as an exponent. So what you really have, if you move that 2 up here, you have e to the natural log of square the 5/2, and it's 25/4. But you may have forgotten that. Then the e and the ln undo each other, and you get this. Okay, get a common denominator, change them both to fourths, and it's 50/4 minus 25/4, which is 25/4. So you might have struggled a little bit with that one, but that's what's going on there. And at least if you used a calculator, I hope you could have gotten that. Now let's plug in the other 2. Let me make some space. Plugging in the -1, I get 5e to the -1 minus e to the -2, which is 5 over e minus 1 over e squared. Now I can get a common denominator, but basically, if you think of e as a 3, because it's close to 3, it's like 2.7, then this is like 5/3-ish minus 1/9-ish. It's a fraction. It's small. So let's see if I'm going to need to get a common denominator or not, because I still have to just basically compare it to these other numbers. So I'm going to leave it as 5 over e minus 1 over e squared for now. If I have to, the common denominator is not a big deal, because I'll just multiply this by e and another e. It would be 5e minus 1. But I'm not sure that helps me compare it to the other numbers any better. All right, now plugging in the 2. If I plug in the 2, now I get 5e squared minus e to the 4th. 5e squared minus e to the 4th. And that, since it's not fractions, now I have to consider what's going to be the biggest numbers out of these and the smallest number out of those. So this happens on the AP exam a lot. You may not know right off the top of your head what these numbers equal, but you can reason through, hopefully, maybe, which ones are bigger and which ones are smaller. So let's look at the ones that have e's in them first of all. This one is, like I said, approximately this. It's a fraction. It's a positive fraction. If you look at it this way, you can still see it's a small positive fraction. If I got a common denominator here, this would be 14/9. Okay? So now let's compare that to this. E to the 4th is going to be bigger than e squared, so this is going to give me a negative number. And this one is a positive fraction, okay? So clearly this is the smallest one since it's negative. So I know for sure that's the min. Now, which one's bigger out of these two? I can't, I'm not 100% certain. This one's approximately 14/9. This one's approximately 25/4. This one is bigger, but usually on the AP exam, they'll give you one that you can actually tell a little bit better which one's bigger. So this is my max. If you want to use a calculator to see what they actually equal, go ahead. But you write the answer with these e's and everything.